Kailyn Lowry's son Elliott, formerly known as Isaac, has recently opened up about his sexuality and emotional struggles in a deeply personal and impactful way. Elliott, who is just 15 years old, chose to reveal his truth publicly through a heartfelt episode of Kailyn's podcast. What followed was a deeply emotional story about identity, privacy, resilience, and growing up in the spotlight. A new name, a new identity. Elliott made the decision to start going by his middle name rather than Isaac, the name fans of Teen Mom 2 have known him by for years. This shift wasn't superficial, it was about reclaiming control over his identity. He explained that Elliott feels more like him, a version of himself that isn't tied to the expectations, opinions, or assumptions of the public. After growing up on reality television, where cameras documented so many of his life moments, choosing a new name was a way to take back something personal. He emphasized that this was his journey to share, not anyone else's to tell. In his own words, he was tired of people making assumptions or telling stories about him that weren't true. "My life isn't for entertainment," he said, underlining the pain of having others speculate or talk about his private life without consent. Coming out, twice taken away. Elliott's emotional distress didn't stem from simply being gay, it came from having his story stolen from him, not once, but twice. The first time happened in elementary school, when he confided in a friend who then told others about his sexuality without his permission. The second time came more recently, when he was publicly outed in photos from a school dance, including prom, that were shared online before he was ready. For Elliott, these experiences were traumatic. In his own reflection, he described how these moments left him feeling exposed, misunderstood, and overwhelmed. He dealt with significant self-doubt during middle school, particularly in 6th grade, as he struggled to process both his identity and the way others were treating it as gossip or spectacle. The toll of growing up on camera. Being the child of a reality TV star meant that Elliott never really had privacy. From a young age, his milestones, emotions, and even moments of vulnerability were on display for millions. He said he felt like viewers had built a version of him in their minds that didn't match who he really is. This disconnect created anxiety and contributed to his emotional struggles, especially as he began to explore and understand his sexuality. Elliott's decision to come out publicly, on his own terms, was a powerful act of courage. He shared that he chose to do it through a podcast rather than a social media post because he wanted to fully express himself in his own words, not be reduced to a caption or photo. Kailyn's response and unwavering support. Kailyn Lowry, despite her own complicated history with public scrutiny, showed tremendous support for her son. She emphasized that she never wanted him to feel he needed to come out to her, because, in her eyes, being gay is just one part of who he is, and she loves him unconditionally. But she also acknowledged the challenges he faced and respected his need to reclaim control of his narrative. Kailyn said she hoped sharing Elliott's story would help other families understand the importance of acceptance and emotional support. She expressed heartbreak over the reality that many LGBTQ+ youth face rejection from their own families, something she never wanted her son to experience. Moving forward with confidence. Elliott's journey hasn't been easy, but it's made him stronger. He shared that he now feels more confident and self-aware than ever before. He's learned the value of self-advocacy and the importance of setting boundaries in a world that so often tries to define people without their consent. While there's still healing ahead, Elliott's story is ultimately one of resilience. He's choosing to move forward, not defined by the pain of the past, but by his courage to speak up, set boundaries, and demand to be seen for who he truly is. A message of hope. Elliott's story isn't just about being a reality TV kid or coming out, it's about the universal human experience of wanting to be known, understood, and accepted. His vulnerability opens the door for more compassionate conversations around youth, sexuality, identity, and mental health. By bravely reclaiming his voice, Elliott is not only healing himself but also helping others feel less alone.